Hey guys, Guy Everyone here again, and we're back with some Google Tech Stacks. Last time we went over, what the different parts of your Google Tech Stack should be. You got your Tag Manager, your Analytics, your AdWords, and your YouTube. Today we're going to go over a little bit about how to hook this stuff up, right? So the purpose of Tag Manager is to capture all the action that happens on your website and transmit it over into Google Analytics. So actions, or what Google calls events, happen on your website. They're captured by Google Tag Manager and they're sent to Google Analytics. Once they're in Google Analytics, you can analyze them, hence the analytics, and you can actually take some of those events and send them to Google AdWords as conversions. And then you could take those conversions or those actions that you sent to Google AdWords and create audiences. An audience are people that came to your site or landed on your site or took action on your site that you can categorize, and then you can send them your YouTube videos and you can send them more AdWords because they would be considered warm leads. So that's a quick overview of how that works. Today we're going to go over just this portion over here, which is going to talk about the conversation that Tag Manager has with Google Analytics. So let's get into it. So here we have a test page, and this is a page we set up in order for us to kind of demonstrate how we set up our self-storage sites. It's got a pretty simple page. It's got a test button on it, and this is just the actions that we're going to take. What you want to do is I like to use the Chrome extension. It doesn't work the way it used to anymore, but you can still click on it. This is the Tag Manager Chrome extension, and you just hit Tag Assistant, and it'll pop open that assistant. You drop in the URL that you're working with, and it will connect your Tag Manager to that page, and it said debug information is ready to go. And then you open the Tag Assistant and you can see that all the different tags that we set up are here already, and if we click this button it will send information over to Tag Manager, and you can see it pops right in there. So you had your town self-storage, link click, and you click on that button and it can say all the tags that were here. Now I haven't set any tags up to fire, and when it says fire it captures that information and you send it over to Google Analytics. Now before we get into that, actually let me just show you the back end of our analytics. So this is the Google Tag Manager for your town self-storage, which is the site we set up for testing, and you can see that we've got a bunch under tags. We've got a bunch of information here. So click the sign, that's an event, create an account, and this is all related to self-storage. Event senders, that's something else, but what we're looking for right now is the G tag. You want to make sure is on all your pages, and you want to make sure that your Rent Now button clicks, let's see here, is right there. Now in order to capture all this information, you got to have your triggers set up, and those triggers are the one we'll be talking about today is all clicks, and purchase is another one that you want to have. So depending on your self-storage software or your self-storage website, you want to make sure that you have these different elements that are being tracked on your site, because it's going to let you know what's going on your site, transfer that data over to analytics, which is going to allow you to post these conversions in AdWords, which is going to give you the ROI that everybody wants. So what am I talking about, right? So if we go to let's go one of the big boys here, right? So this is an extra space, and you can see all these different elements here is what is being tracked in Google Tag Manager. So under triggers, so what is a trigger? A trigger is when somebody clicks on this button. Now I don't have access to Extra Spaces Tag Manager, but for demonstration purposes, there's a clickable element here, there's a clickable element here. All these different elements on your web page are clickable, and if you set up your Tag Manager correctly, you can tell when someone lands on your page and they click this button, this pops up, then they click this button, and they go into filling in this information, which is a form fill, and you can track that. So why would you want to track that? Okay, so the first thing we're tracking on this page is the page load. So if we can back up here, leave the site. Okay, so say someone searched storage in Pennsylvania here, and they landed on this page. Okay, so the page load is equal to a page visit. So somebody visited this page. That's a good thing to know when you're actually running ads, or you're trying to track your organic listing. So somebody landed on the page, and then what did they do? Did they scroll? Did they click a button? Or did they do nothing? All of those different elements can tell you something about how your page is converting. So if someone lands on the page, scrolls a little bit, clicks a button, then clicks again, then fills out the information and continues to sign the lease, you can track all that information so that you can tell if you're running an ad to this particular page, and somebody clicked this button and rented, then you know that your page is converting, your price is good, the flow of your site is good, and that ad turned into, your $5 click turned into a $120 rental, right? So you get an ROI on that. If you have all this information and you can see that somebody landed on the page, scrolled a bit, and then left, and they do that repeatedly, you've more than likely got a price problem. Your competitors are a little cheaper than you, or if you're full and you only have a few units here, then you know that, and you have several people landing on your page and leaving, then you know that people in your area aren't really looking for that type of size that you've got, and you might want to look at combining units and seeing if there's some way that you can reconfigure your units to either provide a lower price for the units that you have, or provide a bigger unit for the price that you have. My point is, if you don't have this information and you're not being given this information, you can be blind as to what your competition is doing. And this is exactly what your competition is doing. So if you're in an urban area and you're seeing that your traffic flow is still the same, right? So the traffic coming to your site being shown to you in your analytics or by your marketing company is still the same, but your rentals are down, you might want to look and see what that traffic is doing. So the traffic came to your site, that has been pretty steady over the last 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 months, but you're not seeing any clicks on your rentals, then you probably got a pricing issue. That's my opinion. Again, this is the way I do things. This is not the way everybody does things. But if you have that data, you can make those decisions as to whether you're being beat on price. Some would say, well, I can just look at my competition's pricing, and if they're lower than me, that's probably it. That's one way to look at it. I would rather say, okay, if my occupancy is going down, my rentals are going down, there's all kinds of things. It could be price. It could be a new competitor on your block with an easier website. You could be being outranked. What I'm trying to address in this video is, without that data, you don't really know exactly what's going on. You're kind of guessing. So if you have your tags set up correctly and you have all this information sent over to analytics, you can actually look at the information and say, okay, yeah, my traffic's still up, but the clicks on my page are down. I'm going to change my pricing. And then you can let that ride for a month and see if your clicks go up. If your clicks still don't go up, you look at the data again and you can say, okay, what else do I need to change? But again, in order to do all this, you got to have it set up. Most people do set up Tag Manager, but most companies do set up Tag Manager and analytics, but they don't get too granular on it. What I'm saying now, in the environment that we're in, you need the data. So we're going to go over a real rough version of how to set that data up. So we have our example site here. I've clicked the button. I've set up the Tag Assistant so that we can actually see the actions that are on the page. And you can see here that it did fire. The link was clicked, and when you click on that link, nothing came through because we don't have that tag set up. But we do have the variables. So what you need is to set up the trigger with these variables, and the easiest way to do that is use this click ID here. Okay, and right now we don't have that attached to any particular action that's going to the site. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at here is we're going to go back into our tag manager here, and you're going to go under triggers, and you have to make sure that you have all clicks enabled. If you are in your tag manager and you click triggers and you don't see this, you're going to go over here, you're going to go to trigger configuration, and you're going to go all elements, and you're going to go all clicks, and you're going to name it all clicks. And then you're going to hit save. I already have that set up, and it looks like this. So when you click on it, you can see all elements here. Don't worry about this. This is for something different. You just want to make sure that you're here. Then you want to go down to variables, and you want to make sure that all these different click elements, these data layers, are here. If you don't see them, go to configure, and you're going to go to clicks. You're going to make sure all these are checked. All these different variables are checked. That's going to make sure that you can actually create the tag. So once you have your triggers set up for all clicks, you make sure all your variables are set up, all these different click classes, then you can go to tags. So now that we know we have all that set up, you can actually go to the tag assistant here, and you can see previously we clicked that button, and that is what is going to allow us to see all this different data. So you have the click, and you have the link click, and you just go under, there's no tag to it right now, but if you go to variables, you can see all the different data layers that we have, so that we can actually take and match that up with the trigger. Use this as a trigger to match it up with a tag and send that information over to Google Analytics. What I like to use is the click ID, because you don't want to use the text, because the text can change, the URL can change. I just like to use click ID if it's available, and this particular element is a little bit too complicated to put on there, so just for now, just use the click ID. If you have some more advanced setups, you know, that's a case-by-case basis. So just for now, let's talk about the click ID. So we're going to go back into Google Tag Manager, make sure I'm in the right one. We'll just get rid of that one. And this is where we are. So, okay, so the first thing we're going to set up is a trigger for this specific button right here. We don't want to get data for all the elements. We do have the all elements trigger up there, but it is filtered. So we're going to set up a specific trigger for that button. So you're going to go over here to new, and we're going to name this, test button, right? Under trigger configuration, you're going to scroll down to all click elements, and you're going to go some clicks, click classes, click ID. Remember, we're going to use the ID, contains, and then this is where you're going to hop back over to tag assistant, and right under where the action was taken in when we did the test click, you're going to grab the click ID information, the value of that information. You're going to take it back over to tag manager, you're going to place it in there, and you're going to click save. And you can see that test button is now a clickable element. Alright, so now that we have that trigger button, we're going to set it up so we send the information that is passed on this test button trigger to Google Analytics 4. So we're going to go to new. You're just going to name it. We're going to call it test button. Under tag configuration, you're going to go Google Analytics event. Now, the one thing I forgot to do, and this happens from time to time, was actually link the analytics that I set up for this. So you're going to open up Google Analytics. So you can see this is for that particular property that we set up. You go to admin. You're going to go to, let's see here, data streams. Data stream is set up. You're going to click into that, and you're going to see over here you got that measurement ID. So you're going to copy that, go back over to Tag Manager, and input it there. It's going to say Lloyd, tag is found, good to go. Now, for the event name, you're going to go down here, and we're just going to go test _ button, and then we're going to go event parameters, and we're going to do, let's see here, parameter name, add a parameter. Google likes to use link underscore text here, and then for the value, just so that we know in the analytics report where it came from, we're just going to use the variable that came from here, which is test button. This will allow us to know what the button was when we see the report in Google Analytics. So you just go back here, add that there. Actually, what you're going to do, I forgot, you don't have to type it in. You want this actual variable here, right there. Click text. Beautiful. Now for the trigger, you're going to use the one that we added, which is test button down here, which is going to link to that button. So we're going to add that in there. We got the name, we got the event, and we got it set up. So we're going to hit save, and we have now added the test button tag right there, which will pass the information from when I click this button over to Google Analytics, which will show up under your reporting under Explorer, once you set up your reports here. And in 1 second we'll test that button. Now, information passed from Google Tag Manager to Google Analytics, it takes like 24 to 48 hours. You can see I'm on that page right now, so you can see in Analytics it's showing there's a user on that page, and if you go view in real time, it'll actually tell you where I am. So there you go, up in good old New York. Alright, so let's test that trigger, make sure we got the setup so that we can actually get that information. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click preview. It's going to reload everything. We're going to click connect. Then we're actually going to click the button. Make sure that it reloads. It's a button that reloads the page. So then we go back to Tag Assistant, and you can see right there. So you have the information right there. So the tag fired 3 times. I clicked it 3 times. Test button, all that event went over to Google Analytics. You can see the variables and all the information was sent. So we can see that the click came through, and you can click on this variable here, and you can see that it did fire. It did send over this data, and it sent it over to this measurement ID, which matches up to our analytics. So now we're going to go over to Analytics and see if it came in. Now when you go over to Google Analytics, what you're going to do is you're going to hover over the admin, make sure the admin panel pops up, and then you're going to scroll down to debug view. And in this view, it's going to give you a little bit of data about what's happening. You can see here that we had a page view, we had a scroll, and the test button was hit twice. You can see that information right there, and some other information, but you just want to make sure that the information is coming into Google Analytics. Now, it won't show up into a report that you set up for 24 to 48 hours, but if you go through the same process, say if you were doing this for Extra Space, if you go through the same process and you set up click events for each one of these buttons, and then a conversion event for when somebody rents a unit, like, let's see here, pay and sign lease. This is an event. This is usually a URL event because they're going to land on a thank you page. You want to set up an event that fires a tag when somebody lands on whatever your thank you page is, which I think this one is. Let's see here. No, that's a different one. We can go through that in another video because it's very software specific. So if you're using ESS, StoreEdge, any of these ones, it's very difficult. There's a special way to do it. If you have some other piece of software, or you're doing the leases yourself with PayPal, whatever thank you page that you have after somebody pays you and signs your lease, you want to make sure there's a tag on that page that fires when somebody lands on that page, so you can relate it to how many people have clicked your buttons versus how many people actually rented a unit. And then the other metric that you want is how many people landed on this page versus how many people actually clicked the button and how many people left. These are all reports that you want in your analytics and being given to you so that you can make decisions about pricing, about your web structure, about your checkout structure. Is your checkout structure easy? The competition is getting so difficult today that you need this information. If you need any help with this, I know this may be a little bit complicated to some, but we do provide this service as well. This is just the setup so you can actually have the information. Just contact me, leave a comment on the video, and I'll be happy to get back to you and either help you out or just go a little bit deeper into your particular situation. This guy Javerone, Storage Marketing Machine, and I'm out.